Totally ignoring good information is basically like a pilot trying to fly a plane without any instruments or maps. They're flying blind. And let's be real, those kinds of bad decisions usually end in a crash. This idea connects to how some people just brush off what climate scientists are saying. For decades, scientists have been discovering important data and providing warnings about environmental problems coming our way. Their discoveries, which are based on careful research, are a lot like a pilot's instruments telling them there's dangerous terrain ahead, not just some random guess. A related point. A survey from 2011 aimed to understand the average American's knowledge of global warming. While most participants accepted that global warming is real and influenced by human activity, very few could actually explain the scientific process behind it. Ignoring the known climate science is like deliberately discarding navigation tools while on a challenging journey. It means we're choosing to face the future without vital information. Just as a blind flight risks a crash, a society that dismisses climate science risks severe and irreversible consequences, making it impossible to prepare or adapt effectively. It's a huge gamble with our future, taken without understanding the immense risks involved. Liberation Day marked a significant escalation in the ongoing culture war, prompting the thought that liberals and conservatives, despite their differing worldviews, share a common blind spot: a lack of awareness of their own ignorance. This inherent limitation in human understanding, this potential for collective unknowing, becomes particularly concerning when we consider the stark warnings issued by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists and their doomsday clock. The clock, currently perilously close to midnight, reflects the short-sightedness and self-destructive tendencies of humanity. It makes one wonder if humanity will ultimately be undone by its own inherent limitations, not knowing what it doesn't know, until it's too late, a thought that inevitably brings us to the Fermi Paradox. The Fermi Paradox is named after Enrico Fermi, a scientist best known for overseeing the construction of the world's first nuclear reactor and using it to conduct the first controlled nuclear reaction in 1942. During a 1950 visit to the Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, Fermi and some colleagues were discussing extraterrestrials and interstellar travel over lunch, prompted by a cartoon from The New Yorker showing aliens stealing New York City trash cans. As the story goes, Fermi famously asked, "Where is everybody?" Three people who were part of the discussion later reported that Fermi was specifically talking about interstellar travel. If aliens exist and are capable of traveling between the stars, then they should have visited us already. The Milky Way is around 10 billion years old and is home to more than 100 billion stars. This suggests there is likely a mind-boggling number of potentially habitable planets in our home galaxy alone. Fermi never published any work on his off-the-cuff remark and died of cancer just 4 years later. However, his question essentially suggests that, given enough time, every alien species will eventually settle the next star over. The fact that we have not yet heard from aliens is known as the mystery of the Great Silence. The Drake equation, named after astronomer Frank Drake, is basically a formula we use to guess how many alien civilizations in our Milky Way galaxy might be out there, sending out signals we could actually pick up. It's not a magic answer, but more like a series of educated estimates that help us think about the possibilities. The equation breaks down the huge question of "are we alone?" into smaller, more manageable steps. It starts by estimating how many new stars are formed each year in our galaxy that could even have planets. Then it narrows down to how many of those stars actually have planets, and out of those, how many planets have the right conditions for life. From there, it gets more speculative. What percentage of those habitable planets actually develop life? And then, what percentage of that life becomes intelligent? Finally, it considers how many of those intelligent civilizations develop technology like radio waves that could send signals we might detect, and for how long they keep sending them. By multiplying all these guesses together, the Drake equation gives us a rough number. The thing to remember is that while we're getting better at estimating the first few parts, like stars and planets, the later parts about life, intelligence, and technology are still mostly unknowns, based only on what we know about Earth. So, it's more a tool for thinking about the search for alien life than a definite answer. It's been more than half a century since Drake proposed his equation, and almost 80 years since Fermi asked where all the aliens are. So, what progress has been made to find definitive answers? The Great Filter is a potential resolution to the Fermi Paradox. It suggests that somewhere along the evolutionary path from lifeless matter to an advanced spacefaring civilization, there's a critical and extremely difficult barrier, the Great Filter, that almost all life fails to overcome. Think of it like a race with many hurdles. The fact that we don't see other civilizations suggests that most potential runners stumble and fall at one of these hurdles. While scientifically blind leadership and economic mismanagement could certainly contribute to a civilization's demise, it's not typically considered the primary obstacle within the Great Filter framework. You know the saying, Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. That warning feels especially relevant right now, given the lack of strong-willed, scientifically knowledgeable political leaders around the world. This is really clear when we look at the huge problem of man-made climate change, which desperately needs smart economic and financial decisions. Instead of tackling these growing environmental issues head-on, many political leaders are deliberately ignoring them. This neglect will likely make things much worse, significantly contributing to the unraveling of the modern world as we know it. Pondering big-picture ideas like the Fermi Paradox and learning history is profoundly important because it provides context for current challenging events. Sadly, it seems some in positions of power, along with their fervent supporters, never learn this crucial lesson. Given Trump's Liberation Day declaration, it's worth remembering that much more can be accomplished with economic coordination. And let's not forget what President Ronald Reagan said about tariffs in 1987.
You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.